Hello and welcome to the Mum Boss Method podcast. I'm Chrissy and today I want to talk about how I manage menopause. Now, it's World Menopause Day on the 18th of October, and what better way to help support you by sharing my insight, my experience. It's really important to say that everyone experiences menopause differently. So some of the symptoms that I have, you might never experience. Some of the symptoms you have, I might never experience. And that's the hard thing about menopause, I think, is that there is no one size fits all. I recently got into an interesting social media discussion with someone who, when I talked about sleep as being something that is quite challenging for me when it comes to menopause, was trying to tell me to take a herbal remedy and that I would have no further problems and wouldn't need to talk about it ever again. And the interesting thing that this person said was that I needed to take this herbal remedy in the last 2 weeks of my cycle. And the thing is with perimenopause is, your periods aren't always the first thing that start changing. Mine didn't for years and years and years. Then I was experiencing cycles that were 6 weeks long or 8 weeks long. And so now I have a Mirena coil and I don't have periods. So I don't know when the middle of my cycle is. And I said to this person on social media, but I don't have a cycle because I have a Mirena coil. So how would I know how to take your herbal remedy? You can't just blanket give out these pieces of advice when and say that they definitely will work, because everyone is so different. So I'm just sharing with you what works for me, what works for the clients that I have that are perimenopausal, or not what works for all of them, because as I've just said, everyone experiences menopause symptoms differently. But some of the things that we focus on that are just really staple principles of health, nutrition, fitness, wellness that that could help you. So that's why I thought I would share this. Like I say, it's World Menopause Day this week, and I wanted to make sure that I talked about it. So as we know, menopause is really currently very big business. Every Tom, Dick and Julia wants to sell you their program, their supplements, their workout routines that are all menopause specific. They're going to be the answer to your problem. And recent news in the media, I'm not going to go into some of the kind of scandal that's been going on for the last couple of weeks, but it can be really confusing. And I get that. I'm 44. I actually this year was diagnosed as probably being perimenopausal from the age of about 35, 36. And actually, for the first 4 years of that, I was being treated, my GP was treating me for depression and anxiety rather than perimenopause. So, and I'll be really honest, at 36, I don't even think I gave menopause a thought. I honestly don't think. Now I know so much about it. It's hard to try and remember what I didn't know. But I never had a conversation with my mum about menopause. Never. I didn't think menopause was something I was going to have to worry about for, at least 15 years at 36. So it is really confusing. Everyone is different. No one experiences it the same. But I'm here to try and give you some clarity and some reassurance that there are things that you can do. So I guess the first piece of advice I want to give you is that if you're experiencing menopause symptoms or what you think are menopause symptoms, please see your GP. And I know that can be really difficult. getting an appointment firstly, or getting the time off from work to make an appointment and all of those things, but please see your GP. A really helpful thing to do before you book the appointment is track your symptoms. And I would advise that you do this for a couple of months. Now, when I was first experiencing symptoms, I didn't know that I should be tracking them, because I didn't know that was a thing. And I also didn't know they were menopause symptoms. I didn't know what all of the symptoms were. I thought that they were hot flushes and losing your periods. And actually, as I explained at the beginning of the podcast, I was still having periods up until a year ago when I got the Mirena coil. So, losing your periods and having lost them for 12 months consecutively actually makes you postmenopausal, not perimenopausal. Perimenopausal is the time before that. So once you've gone without a period, naturally, not because of hormone contraceptives, that is when you are postmenopausal. But for all the time before that, your periods could stay normal. They could fluctuate like mine did. Like I say, sometimes my periods were a 30-day cycle. And then I went through about 18 months where it was 3 months, 6 weeks, 2 months. I think the longest I went was 5 months. So, we often think that it's just about hot flushes and periods. There are thought to be around 100 menopause symptoms, and many of those cross over with other conditions or illnesses, and so it can be really, really confusing. Like I say, for the first 4 years I was treated for anxiety and depression. Now, what I've created, little plug here, I'm going to be really honest, is a menopause journal. And I wish I'd had this menopause journal 8 years ago when I first started on this journey. You can get this journal on Amazon. I'll also put the link in the show notes, and you can use it to track your symptoms over 4 months. I wish I'd had that. I wish I'd had something like that someone had told me that before I went to the doctors for the first time, because I would not have had the battles that I had subsequently. But anyway, we're going to try and keep this really positive. So if you want to know more about menopause symptoms, a bit more about my journey, a bit more about, tracking your symptoms and the things that you can do, and you want something practical to work with, check out the link in the show notes. Or you can search Amazon for the Monboss Method Menopause Journal. Okay, so as I said, speak to your GP. It's really helpful if you've tracked some of your symptoms before you go, at least for a couple of months. And the first point of call with perimenopause is to be investigating if HRT is appropriate for you. Now, it's not appropriate for all women, but for most, it is perfectly safe and it will help you, or it could help you, I should say. I know there's a lot of fear-mongering and misinformation out there, so please speak to your GP. Now, the thing that I want to say about this, because I still have some clients working with me at the moment who are, it looks very much, they feel that they're perimenopausal when they talk about their symptoms. They're using my journal. It really looks like they're perimenopausal, but their GP is still saying they are too young at 41, 42, 43. And this is where there's a real lack of information and education within the NHS about perimenopause. And what I really want you to do is advocate for yourself. Now, you can go on to the NICE website and find the NICE guidelines for helping you to speak to your GP and advocating for yourself when you want to talk to them about perimenopause. The problem is that many GPs will either blanket tell you that you are too young, or they will send you away for a blood test to test your hormone levels. And the problem with that is that part of being perimenopausal is that your hormones will be fluctuating. So it depends on where your hormones are at the point of having that blood test, whether or not it will show you as having normal hormone levels or low hormone levels, okay? And that can really be down to the day of the week and the time of that day that you go and have that blood test. So please, please, please advocate for yourself. If you would like support on how you can do that, the first thing I recommend you doing is tracking your symptoms. If you would like to know, like, practically how I've had those conversations with my GP, just reach out to me on social media or via email, and I can point you in the direction of some things that really, really were helpful to me. Now, if HRT is not appropriate for you, or it's not something you want to start immediately, or your GP perhaps isn't there with prescribing it to you, there are still lots of other things that you can do to support yourself during perimenopause. And I want to share with you the things that help me the most and help most of my clients that are perimenopausal. Sorry, needed a sip. And I'm going to go through those now. So the first thing, I don't think you'll be surprised about this, is good nutrition. So the principles of nutrition that I talk about with all of my clients, whether they're weight loss clients or just clients that want to improve their healthy habits and get fitter, are about good nutrition. It's about focusing on eating protein with every meal. Most of us drastically undereat protein. And that's why we find ourselves feeling really snacky and peckish through the day. But particularly as a perimenopausal woman, or a woman coming up to the age of perimenopause, which, as I've already told you, I was perimenopausal from the age of 36. So, if you're listening to this and you're 36, 37, you're thinking, oh, this isn't relevant to me, then, believe me, even if it isn't relevant to you right now, one day it will be. So I'd still recommend you listen to this. So eating protein, really important. As our estrogen levels decline and reduce, and as we age, we start to lose muscle mass, okay? And that has lots of downsides to it, including, and this is the thing that just I keep coming back to, is just being able to move less. Like I want to be fit, strong, healthy. I want to be getting myself up and down off the toilet when I'm 90, 95, 100. I don't want to be relying on walkers or carers to come in and do that for me. And protein, eating a high protein diet, is one of the ways that we are going to be able to help maintain that muscle mass. Also, one of the most common side effects for perimenopausal women is disturbed sleep. With disturbed sleep can come increased hunger. Keeping that protein level high is going to help you to maintain your hunger levels and regulate your hunger levels. And also, you might have heard about insulin resistance during perimenopause. Some women can become more insulin resistant as they go through this stage of their life. So eating protein will help you to maintain your blood sugars, to regulate your hunger, and help you to also not gain weight, because protein will keep you fuller for longer. The other things that I do are eating at least 5 portions of fruit and veg a day and trying to get 30 grams of fibre. I try to make my diet as varied and colourful as possible. You should know by now, I don't follow any fad or gimmicky diet rules. I don't limit myself from the foods that I love, but I try to hit my protein, my fruit, veg, and my fibre every day before I start, thinking, oh, I'm going to have, a biscuit or a couple of squares of chocolate. And I don't limit myself from those. Now, the fruit and veg, really, really important. I've had a lot of discussions with people recently who are saying, oh, I try to stay away from fruit because of the sugar in it. Unless you are pre-diabetic, you are diabetic, or you know that you are insulin resistant, then you do not need to worry about the sugar contained in fruit. Okay, I promise you, no one gained body fat from eating too many apples. So please, please, please get plenty of colour, variety in those fruit and veg, and don't be scared of your fruit. Okay. The 30 grams of fibre that I talked about, many of you might be experiencing bloating, maybe constipation or diarrhea, feeling uncomfortable after you've eaten. So many times when I'm looking at women's food diaries, that is because they are under eating fibre. Okay, I try to get 30 grams of fibre every day. It's not always that easy to get it. Yes, we need to include those fruit and veggies in there as well. I also do things like adding fruit and fibre onto my yogurt every morning, like 20 grams of fruit and fibre to boost that up, making sure that I'm getting plenty of cruciferous vegetables, things like broccoli, cauliflower, and then also making sure that I'm not avoiding things like oats or things like whole grain pastas and rices, because obviously they've also got fibre in them as well. So you want to be getting your fibre from lots and lots of varied types of foods, because you want to be getting the soluble and the insoluble fibre. I'm not going to go down the rabbit hole of talking about soluble and insoluble fibre, but just like I'm saying to you, get lots of colour, lots of variety in your diet, I want you to also be thinking about the same thing with your fibre. So it can come from your fruit and veg, but also adding some of the more roughage type fibres from your cereals, your pastas, your grains, those things. Please don't be afraid of those carbohydrates, ladies. They are so important. Okay, that's number one. So number two, strength training. This is by far one of the most important things I do for my perimenopausal midlife body. And yes, I have recently accepted that I am in a midlife body. This helps me with both my physical symptoms of menopause by helping me to build and maintain muscle mass, which I've already talked about, which in turn keeps me strong and independent, but also and also helps me to maintain my bone density so that I'm less likely to develop osteoporosis as I age. That exercise also helps me to sleep. It helps me to stay fit. It helps me to stay strong, to stay resilient. But also mentally, this one activity helps me more than I often talk about. You know, my exercise journey really has been about 15 years now. And although I've exercised my whole adult life, my strength training journey is 15 years old now. And I stopped calling the gym my therapy a few years ago because it just is now part of my life. It is now part of my life that I go to the gym 3 days a week at least. If I didn't do that, it would be really weird. It honestly would be like not brushing my teeth twice a day. And it's true to say that in the beginning, I really did see it as something that I wanted to do to help me with my weight loss journey. Not that exercise is what causes us to lose weight, but I wanted to change my body composition. I wanted to look strong. I wanted to look toned, and therefore I needed to build muscle mass. But it's become so apparent again to me just how important that training is and that time is to my mental health. I notice so much if I don't go to the gym. Last week, I didn't get to the gym properly until Saturday. So I'd been the Saturday previous, and then it was a week before I went again because of my brother's wedding. And I really, really noticed that I just really needed that hour to myself where I'm focusing on me. So, you know, showing up for myself at the gym 3 to 4 times a week, It gives me an hour out of my day to myself where I'm focusing on the present. You can't think about what's going on later in the day. You can't worry about something that hasn't yet happened when you've got a really big, heavy weight on your back. And aside from that, it's been one of the things that has given me most confidence at this stage in my life. It shows me what I'm capable of. It teaches me how to be resilient. It changes my mood. It gives me confidence. So the physical benefits for you as a perimenopausal woman, or just a woman, are so many, in terms of your body composition, in terms of your health, your strength, your, protecting you as you get older from osteoporosis, from becoming reliant on other people to be able to be independent, or taking away your independence, but also the mental benefits, not just giving me that time, giving you that time, but giving you that confidence in your body. And let's be real, that when we get to this stage of our lives, our bodies are changing. Our bodies are completely changing. And doing this one thing 3 to 4 times a week is helping me to learn to accept those changes in my body. Okay, number 3, I focus on managing my stress. Now, you may well think, well, that's hilarious, Chrissy. How are you going to help me to manage my stress? And you hear this a lot, manage your stress, do things that help you to work on that. This time of our lives can be really stressful. Hell, life is really stressful. If life wasn't stressful, it would not be life, because life is this constant cycle of, working, of kids, of, of upset, of caring for others, of grief, of heartbreak. That's what makes life life. And even the most, I don't know, the wealthiest people, the biggest, most famous people out there in the world have stresses. I always think about the Beckhams when I think about things like this. And I always think, on the outside, it looks like they have absolutely no stress, but of course they have stress. I think of, the most kind of a more recent example is Kate and William. So, Kate is currently going through, or has just finished, cancer treatment. Like, you could look at them from the outside and think, wow, royalty, loads of money, really privileged. But actually, their jobs, doesn't matter what you think about the monarchy, but their jobs are really stressful. They've got 3 children. Is it 3? Yeah, 3 children. Kate has been going through cancer treatment. Before it was announced she was going through cancer treatment, the papers were saying that her husband was having an affair. Like, how stressful is that? And it doesn't matter. Royalty, you still have stress, right? I've gone on a bit. I'll carry on. So, like I say, work, kids, aging parents, balancing all the plates, spinning all the things in the air, it's really tough. And I've always been quite a stressy person. Like, I have quite a short fuse, and over the last 4 years, I've really worked on managing that stress positively. And that takes many forms for me, and it might look really different to you, but the staples for me are journaling to help me unpick the unhelpful and negative thoughts. I'm also quite crafty, so I do, I knit, or I do some cross stitch, or I do some colouring. Something that helps me to do really positive things with my hands and my time, other than scrolling on social media. I also read. I don't read as much as I would like to. I would love to be reading more, but actually reading is something that I really use to wind down and help me sleep. So I am, it's something I definitely do before I go to bed. But other things, And these are the less tangible things, but learning to say no. Learning to say no to the things that don't suit me, because how often do you say you will do something or you will go somewhere and you really don't want to, and you just feel really resentful about it, and then that just stresses you out. So learning to say no and put boundaries in place, and then also learning and remembering what I can and what I cannot control. And this has been huge for me. Remembering that really the only person that I can control in life is myself. What I say, what I do, what I think, what I believe, my thought patterns, my feelings. You know, your thoughts and your feelings, they're not facts, and you can change them. It takes work, but you can change them. And really in life, you are the only person you can control. You can't control other people. And I used to spend so much time, you know, in my own head thinking about, what if this person did this and that person did that, and you know, why did that person say this to me? And you know what, I still fall back into that sometimes at 4 a.m. in the morning when I wake up. I just, you know, I'm sitting there replaying conversations in my head, and it's not helpful. But most of the time I'm getting much better at not doing that and realizing that I can't control those situations. So managing stress is super, super important to me. And also, of course, exercise is part of that managing stress as well. That leads into sleep for me specifically. And I'll come back to why for me in just a second. But one of the most common side effects for perimenopausal women is disturbed sleep. And that can be from things like night sweats and hot flushes. It could just be from, you know, some form of insomnia, so trouble staying asleep or trouble getting to sleep. It can be, like I've just said, from worry and anxiety and stress, where you're, you know, maybe you're lying in bed worrying about the things that are going on, worrying about the parents and the kids or the job, or you're waking up in the middle of the night. This is my main thing to do, and you know, you're overthinking stuff. But disturbed sleep is one of the things that most of my perimenopausal clients suffer with. And that can have such a big impact on the rest of your life. Because if you are getting less sleep, you are less likely to move, to exercise. Okay, you're more likely to go for hyperpalatable foods that are higher in calorie and less nutrient dense. So both of those things can then have an impact on gaining weight, right? If you're tired, your mood is going to be lower, you're not going to be as productive, you're not going to be as happy. So that can really have an impact on your relationships with the people around you. Really, that lack of sleep can just bleed into everything else. So the things that I have put in place that really help me are having a really clear wind down routine that helps me to get ready for bed, which includes no scrolling. As I've said, I read before I go to bed rather than watch TV. I don't have caffeine. I used to not have caffeine after 2 p.m. I moved it to 12 midday, and now I don't have caffeine after 11 a.m. I don't have liquid for a couple of hours before bed, so I try not to drink anything after 7 p.m. because otherwise I wake up at 4 needing the loo, and then that's when the overthinking starts. And I'm also really strict with what I do when I wake up in the middle of the night. So rather than lying there and thinking, oh my God, I'm only going to have 4 hours sleep, I need to get back to sleep, I need to get back to sleep, I will read my Kindle. My Kindle is my absolute savior. And if I'm going anywhere outside of the house and staying somewhere, I have to make sure that Kindle is charged, because I don't want to pick up my phone. I just want to read on my Kindle. I can't get out of bed and go and make a drink, or I mean, I wouldn't want to make a drink because that would just lead to me then needing to go to the loo. But I can't do that because then the dog thinks it's time to get up, and that's just going to wake me up more. So, and I don't tend to listen to anything. Other people I know really find listening to things really helpful, but for me, that act of picking my phone up, putting my AirPods in my ears, finding something to listen to, just wakes me up. So for me, I get my Kindle, I prop it open, I lie there on my side and I read, and I normally fall back to sleep into my Kindle. So having this really, really, it's quite a strict bedtime routine, and trying to make sure that I get, 7.5 to 8 hours sleep. Doesn't always happen, but when I'm really focused, it does, and I feel so much better. And this is why, for me, stress and sleep are so connected, because I know when I am more stressed, when I'm more anxious, when I've got more things to worry about, that really impacts my sleep. So for the weeks leading up to my brother's wedding, my sleep was absolutely terrible. I was lucky if I was getting 6 hours. I was waking up at 3, 4 a.m. and just laying there. Even reading just wasn't helping. So I know that trying to manage my stress is so important, because it impacts my sleep so much. Okay, number 5, I limit alcohol. Now, this is a big topic and probably could have a podcast of its own. But I just want to give you the high levels here. I had a conversation with someone who isn't perimenopausal actually today about this, but my journey with alcohol has been quite a complicated one. And I think for most women that drink, it is a complicated relationship with alcohol. I think if you are take it or leave it with alcohol, then you tend to be of the minority unless you've gone through this journey yourself. I really enjoy a lovely glass of wine. I really enjoy a nice gin and tonic on a sunny day. But I have learned that there are things I can and can't drink. Firstly, alcohol really impacts my sleep. So if I've been drinking, I will wake up at 3, 4 a.m. and I will not get back to sleep. It doesn't matter how good my book, how rubbish my book is on my Kindle, I will not get back to sleep. So that's the first thing, is it impacts my sleep. It impacts my anxiety. Okay, so for a couple of days after after drinking, I will feel really anxious. Add to that the tiredness, add to that a potential hangover, and that is just a mixture that does not bring out the best in me for a good couple of days. And the anxiety after drinking for me can be so crippling and tear-inducing. It's horrible. And I have learned when the right opportunities, occasions are for me to drink. So for example, I've already said my brother got married last week. I drank at my brother's wedding, and we went to bed at midnight, and I was awake again at 4:30 the next morning. I knew that would happen. I had a fairly easy day the next day. It was fine. I coped with it. It was also a Tuesday, and that's a horrific day to be out drinking, but that's fine. I know that I cannot, and it may not be the same for you, I cannot drink Prosecco. I just can't drink Prosecco, 2 glasses of it, and I will be having a racing heart and anxiety, like not full-on panic attacks, but anxiety attacks in the middle of the night. I really, really love wine, but I also can't drink a lot of wine. I'm better if I drink it earlier in the day. So on Sunday, I had a nice glass of red with our roast dinner, but that was at 4:30, and then I stopped. I don't need to drink to carry on drinking. So I really, really limit my alcohol. I can go, weeks without drinking, and I'm really choosy about what I will drink and the occasions that I will drink at, and also the people that I will drink around, because alcohol does create anxiety in my body. I don't want to be anxious around people that I'm not comfortable with. The main thing is the effect on my sleep, and the effect that then has for me 2 days later, for 2 days at least. Number 6, I walk outside every day. Now, it helps that I have a dog that doesn't care about the weather and could walk for 8 hours of the day. I have to walk him, but even on horrid weather days, I try to get outside, even if it's just for 20 minutes. The fresh air really helps me, especially when I'm having a mid-afternoon slump. So at this time of the year, I kind of save my walk for about 3 o'clock, when I know I'm having like my mid-afternoon slump, get outside, get a bit of fresh air, and I find that really, really helpful. And then the last one is that I get support. So my journey to the HRT that I am now taking has been a long one. It's been a good 4 years to get my doses and combinations right. But outside of medical support, I have a coach. Even though I am a coach, it's always really useful to have someone else to see what you sometimes can't see, and perhaps observe the patterns, help you to see the patterns, and help you to make decisions and choices and plans that are really going to support you. So I have that support. I have also had really open conversations with my family and my close friends about how perimenopause has been affecting me. My son knows what menopause is because I need him to understand why sometimes, like this happened last night. What was it? Oh, I know. So we have some rules in our house so Charlie has to feed the dog in the afternoon. If the dishwasher is clean in the morning, Tom has to empty it because I'm the one at home, and I am very clear. If I was working in an office in a different town, I wouldn't be here emptying the dishwasher. I wouldn't be here putting wash loads on. The fact that I am here means that I can do it when I have the time, but I don't see why I should always be the one to do it. So Tom does the dishwasher in the morning, and just those two things. Okay, I went downstairs to start cooking the dinner last night. The dishwasher wasn't emptied and the child hadn't fed the dog. So there's two things I have to do. I have to empty the dishwasher, and then my other rule is during the day I do not do like any tidying up. So because I knew the dishwasher wasn't empty, my lunch bowls and stuff like that were just in the sink. So I had to empty the dishwasher before I could then refill it with everything that was dirty, before I could even start cooking dinner, because we don't have a very big kitchen, and that takes up, like, all of that was taking up half of the kitchen. I also had to put away all of the roast dinner washing up stuff from the draining board. So I was a bit annoyed because Tom had left the house at 7:30 in the morning to get to his gym session. I just thought, you know what, he could have got up 15 minutes earlier and done this. Charlie didn't come down and feed the dog. Dinner was therefore a bit late. And I'm thinking, why am I doing all of this? Like, I'm not the only person in the family. Now, I have to caveat this with, it is not like this all the time. It was this one day. It was just one day, okay? And then Tom's walked in and said that he feels ill, and bless him, he's been ill on and off since we got back from holiday, whether it's been a cold or a chest infection or whatever, he's been ill. And I just thought, oh my God, he's ill again. And then I was trying to download something on my phone, and for the life of me, brain fog issues here, I could not remember my Apple iTunes password, and I couldn't reset it. It just was driving me mad. So it got to 10 to 9 at night. I was already a bit cross about the whole dishwasher situation. Then I couldn't do my password, and I was just like, you know what, I'm just going to go to bed. I just need to go to bed. And as I've walked up the stairs, I've called to Charlie and I've said, there's 3 bags of yours at the bottom of the stairs. If I fall down these stairs at 5:30 in the morning and break my neck, it will be your fault. I actually didn't say that. I said, but that's really dangerous for when I get up at 5:30 and it's dark. Can you please move them? And everything was just a little bit stressy. And then I got into bed and I was reading, and Tom had the TV on too loud. And just, those situations where everything's just niggling you. And the thing is, I've had these conversations with Tom. I've had these conversations with Charlie. I've had them with my wider family. And they know I'm just having one of those heightened emotional situations. And I acknowledge it and I say, I'm tired and I'm a little bit frustrated. It's not your fault. I'm sorry I'm taking it out on you. I need to go to sleep. And because I've had these conversations with them, and because I get support, and because I am working on my own self-development and myself as well, I can see when I need to say these things. Whereas 7, 8 years ago, I didn't. I just wasn't a very nice person to be around, to be honest. And these things happen a lot less often than they did then. But having these conversations, getting the right support is so important for you, whether you are perimenopausal or not, because one day you will be, if you are a woman listening to this who hasn't had a hysterectomy and has, still has your ovaries and everything, you will go through menopause. And so these things are really important for you to hear and to understand. So that being said, if you would like support in helping you to be your best self, your fittest, your strongest, your healthiest self, whether or not you have a weight loss goal, not all of my clients have weight loss goals, but if you do have a weight loss goal, I can help there. But if you would like to really understand how you can fit all these healthy habits in, you can optimize your health around your busy life, around the kids, around the parents, around the job, then that is exactly what I help my clients with. And I would love to have a chat with you and see if I can help you. You can apply to work with me at the links in the show notes. At the moment, I'm only taking on one-to-one clients. The next intake of the Last Diet Club doesn't start until November. That's my group program. You'll also find in the show notes the link to my menopause journal. So if you're not ready to work with me yet, that's £15 on Amazon, and that will really help you to know what you should be looking at and some of the things that you can be doing to help yourself during this time of your life. Okay, happy World Menopause Day for Friday. Thank you for listening. I really hope this has been helpful, and I will see you all soon. Bye. Oh, before I forget, if you enjoyed this episode, please rate it. It's completely free for you to do. You don't need to log into anything. Just go to whatever you're listening to this podcast on. I would suggest 5 stars, but up to you. Give me 5 stars, give me a little review. It really helps me to be able to reach the women that need my help. And that's exactly what I'm here to do. And if you found this helpful and you think that someone else in your life would also find it helpful, please share it with them. Okay, have an awesome week. Bye.